Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to talk about how New York City was mocked after discouraging migrants to seek asylum. They consider themselves no longer a sanctuary city. So this is from Fox News, and as you know, I don't like traditional media, but it's worth going over some of the articles that they talk about eventually, particularly because I think this is particularly egregious hypocrisy by New York City, where you have a lot of these liberal cities that are far away from the southern border of the United States talking about how they're sanctuary cities and just virtue signaling and not willing to actually take a stand that is actionable. They're not willing to actually do anything. They're just virtue signaling. And so we really do know that a population can only handle a certain amount of incoming people and assimilate them properly and make sure that the city, town, village, whatever, is able to continue to function. But these places don't understand that, or they don't care about the places that are getting overwhelmed on America's southern border. So it's good to mock them in this situation because they are harming, with their votes, with their influence, these other areas of the United States while they virtue signal in order to make themselves look better for their liberal audience. So let's see. New York City was ridiculed on Twitter after discouraging migrants from setting in the urban center that Mayor Eric Adams once called it a sanctuary city. New York City was mercilessly mocked on social media. Mayor Eric Adams said his administration would be putting up posters at the border discouraging migrants from settling in the city, citing a lack of shelter and services to accommodate them. Okay, so again, this is something that has been occurring for years on America's southern border in places like New York City and mayors like Mayor Adams here, Eric Adams. They don't care. And once it becomes a problem for them, then they suddenly care about the lack of shelters and lack of services to accommodate them. It's hypocrisy. And to see Americans virtue signaling in such a way that it harms other Americans just to virtue signal, it's horrific to see this type of behavior from people. It's like your virtue signals about America being filled with sanctuary cities and anyone can cross and there's no borders, that hurts other people. And you only care about it when it hurts you. I know so many people. So I have a doctorate in industrial and organizational psychology, and I know so many people from academia. They kind of live in their own ivory towers, and they literally will live in a gated community and then tell you that the city needs to accept more immigration. And so like there's an impact, a crime impact, things like that, when you accept an infinite amount of legal immigrants. And these people who quite literally live in gated communities will never feel that impact. But because they want a virtue signal and they don't care about you, they don't care about your safety, they don't care about your ability to live a reasonably decent life, they're willing to virtue signal from the other side of that gate, from their gated community. And it's horrendous. And you see it constantly. Like I would have professors who would be like, oh, I just got done. I have an injured elbow from my tennis sessions in my gated community. And then they're like, but we need to accept a million illegal immigrants to our small town. And it's like, this will not be impacting you. You do not face the consequences of your own actions here by talking about this, by influencing things to go in a certain way. So it just irritates me so much when people they're just inconsiderate, and it's cowardice. It really is cowardice, where you're virtue signaling to make yourself look better and you're pushing the consequences off on other people. And quite frankly, I think that's a major thing that is causing the decline of the Western world, where leaders, people in power, just everyone in general, they try to accumulate as much benefit as possible, and then they voice the consequences on others. And that is exactly what's happening in this article with Mayor Eric Adams and New York City. Okay, so people said, I guess New York City is no longer a sanctuary city. Any other idiot radical ideas you're dispensing with, Mayor Adams? And you can clearly see, given population trends to and from certain areas, that these democratically liberal cities are not functioning properly. They're just not. Like, people are leaving these areas. People are leaving California. People are leaving New York City and going to places like Florida and Texas. And I have problems with Florida and Texas as well when it comes to their laws regarding anti-Zionism and the lack of free speech when it comes to critiquing Zionism. But I mean, overall, it's very apparent that certain policies are working better than other policies. And yet these people leave liberal cities and try to implement their policies elsewhere. And so they're just a very destructive force no matter where they go in the world. Okay, so people are saying, wait, what happened to being a sanctuary city? Truly bizarre that New York was suddenly changed their entire policy after being forced to deal with the consequences of their own action. And man, does that really encapsulates the liberal mindset. I remember there was some person in, I think it was like Michigan, who she was a like counselor or something, and she's like, defund the police, et cetera, and then she gets attacked by someone, and she's like, well, where were the police? Why weren't they helping me? And it's just like the absurdity. These people are willing to virtue signal and allow the harm to come to others because of their virtue signaling, and they only care and stop virtue signaling when the consequences impact them. It's a degree of psychopathy that has infected all of Western civilization at this point. And quite frankly, and I've talked about this, but I don't think there's any coming back from that. The civilization has to collapse, and you create something new out of the good parts that are left over. And I talk about this a lot, which is economically, there's a boom and bust cycle. And boom is a time to innovate, time to try new things, take risks. And bust is when there's the pruning that occurs, and things that don't work, they are not resilient enough, they get destroyed during the bust cycle, unless there's some like government intervention like what happened with 2007, 2008. And so I think the same needs to occur with American culture, where American culture has been booming since the end of World War II. And the things that don't work have just been growing and growing and growing because people have been trying a ton of new things. And it's not been working, but we haven't faced the bust yet. And quite frankly, because we've been postponing that bust, it's going to be a complete collapse. A complete collapse of Western civilization. And if anyone's left over after that, the people who are left over will have to say, okay, what is it about the current iteration of Western civilization that works? And what is it that led us to our current collapse? If there's enough rational actors afterwards, that's what they're going to have to do. And they're going to have to get rid of all of this stuff related to virtue signaling and take back the parts of Western civilization that actually did work and actually did function. And they're also going to have to figure out a way to have a proper immune response so these problems don't happen again. Because this has just been atrocious. There's been collapse of empires in the past, but what's happening with America, and given all the benefits America had, it should not have collapsed the way it's currently collapsing. It should not have collapsed so quickly. It should not have been such a horrendous collapse. And so they're going to have to really take a fine-tooth comb to what works, what doesn't work, and how do we stop these things that didn't work from happening again once the collapse happens. And I don't think it's going to occur before the collapse happens. It needs a bust part of this cycle that just needs to happen. Okay, so it goes on to say, New York City officials revealed in June they were at a tipping point with over 50,000 migrants under their care, outnumbering even the homeless in the city. Okay, so 50,000. We have over 1 million migrants coming per year across the southern border and overwhelming these small towns. Okay, New York City, a major area, cannot handle 50,000 people. There's ways of assessing this. We can do studies in the social and behavioral sciences to figure out, calculate what factors go into the assimilation, accommodation of various populations, various people within a city, a nation, a state, a town, right? How many people can be successfully assimilated or accommodated, or both, within a certain time span? We could do these studies. We don't do these studies because it's seen as like racist, things like that. They refuse to admit that there is some sort of limitations, but there are definitively limitations. And for a place as large as New York City, with the resources that New York City has, 50,000 is their limit. Okay, so just imagine the southern border, what their limit is for those small towns. It's just ridiculous what's happening right now. Anyways, All right, so yeah, they have some pictures here. Shipping migrants to these blue state sanctuary city blowhards was the best thing that ever happened. No, see, we meant you guys down south were supposed to shut up and enjoy the vibrant diversity of unlimited migration. Journalist John Hayward mocked. Yeah, that's the thing where, like, man, the hypocrisy is just, it's so pervasive. Like, when you're virtue signaling like this, it's just so pervasive. It goes on to say over 90,000 migrants have traveled to New York City since April 2022. Adams has argued they should be sent to every city throughout the nation, throughout the country, calling the border crisis a national issue. And obviously, he's only saying that after it becomes his problem, that they want to foist it on other people. So again, that's the liberal mindset, the modern contemporary liberal mindset. So that's what I'll leave you with. Thank you for watching. If you found this to be informative, helpful, please give us a thumbs up. It does help us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Rumble for more content. Tell a friend about our channel. We are trying to get out via word of mouth. And we have some other ways to get some recognition for our channel as well that we're going to be implementing over the upcoming year. And leave us a comment in the comment box below. Questions, concerns, critiques. I do read all of them, and I do try to respond when it's necessary. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.